So joining me today is Brandon Saho, a sports reporter turned mental health advocate. Brandon, first off, how are you doing today?
I'm good. As you can see, I'm in the car at South Carolina University. It's raining a little bit, but or no, I'm not South Carolina. I'm at Clemson. See, this is what it's doing. The tour is messing my mind up a little bit, but I'm great. We're 15 days in, getting ready to get to the second half of it. I'm doing pretty well. It's been a lot of fun. It's a lot of stress, but it's I'm doing it because I want to help people, and it's been so inspiring so far.
Yeah, so for people that don't know what we're talking about, you're on a mission to visit 30 states in 30 days for
Yep.
your mental game tour. So could you tell us a little bit about what this tour is all about?
Yeah, the tour is really just about breaking the stigma and being able to help people feel comfortable talking about their mental health. It was kind of a crazy idea I had at first, of 30 states in 30 days. And after 2 weeks, I just kept routing it out and I realized I could actually do this. It feels like we've been on the road for 3 months, but it has been really cool to be able to have one-on-one conversations with hundreds of people, talk about mental health. I,
Mhm.
I just want to make it accessible, the conversation, to everyone. And some of the most powerful things that happen on the tour is, I tell my story. We show clips of the Mental Game podcast where I've interviewed some really big celebrities and athletes to try to make it relatable for kids and families that are at the tour that are watching, because that's the thing. When you are depressed or you're anxious or you're feeling alone, you feel like you can't relate to anybody. So I just want people to know that they're not alone throughout the tour.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about your story because you're someone who also have, about depression and suicidal thoughts. So tell us a little bit
Yep.
about how you went from that in 2022 to now on a whole tour.
Yeah. So my dream as a kid was to be a sports reporter, and I was lucky to live out that dream. Got to cover the Cincinnati Bengals, my hometown, for NBC in Cincinnati for 5 seasons, including a trip to the Super Bowl, things that sports fans dream of. And being a reporter was something that I really was looking forward to. And I loved those big moments. But what people didn't know behind the smile on TV or me interviewing Jamar Chase in the AFC Championship game was that I was suicidal for months, and I struggled with losing 3 family members during that time. I thought, I had met, I was going to marry the woman that I was dating at the time, and our relationship, had a really toxic breakup. And so dealing with that all at once, I kind of just hit rock bottom. And I'd always battled suicidal thoughts and depression off and on since I was 14. But
Mhm.
that really put me at the rock bottom where I didn't want to live anymore. And so I had to reach out and ask for help. And I checked into a hospital in Cincinnati for 2 weeks, and I wasn't, all my problems didn't go away right then, but I learned things that I now have in my toolbox that helped me kind of take that step forward, where I eventually realized, look, like, you can combine the mental health passion now that you have with your sports journalism and try to help other people. And so that's where the mental game was born from.
Yeah, yeah, and on this tour, you will be stopping in Texarkana. So, can you
Yep.
share with us a little bit about what you're going to be speaking to the youth about?
Yeah, for sure. For me, it's taking what I learned when I checked in to that hospital for my struggles, and being able to give those tools to others, because for me, these mental health professionals, the therapists, the psychiatrists, they do amazing work and they help save my life and so many other people's lives.
Mhm.
But a lot of what you learn there isn't rocket science. We're just not taught it in school. So things like coping mechanisms, healthy and unhealthy. For me, a really unhealthy one was drinking, and I would lean on that when I was depressed.
Mhm.
But a really healthy one can be going to therapy or listening to music or working out or doing whatever makes you happy in those tough moments. Things like that, setting boundaries for yourself, what to look for with yourself or your friends and family if they might be struggling. Are they not being themselves? Are they going through a tough moment? Like, are they not coming around the family parties anymore, or they're not just being themselves when you see them? Something might be wrong. And so things like that, I really just want to be able to have an open conversation when we're on this tour, especially in Texarkana. I can't wait. I'm so excited. We are Washington's teaming up with us for this, and they just seem so enthusiastic and they do so much great work that I can't wait to be there. It's going to be so much fun next week.
Yeah, and one of the main things I want to touch on too, you talk about being on TV, and I think when you're on TV or you're in this business, people think it is glitz and glamour. And
Yeah.
with social media being the way that it is, what advice do you have for not even just young kids, but now we're talking about young adults or adults in general that see one thing on social media, but in reality, it could be completely different for people?
Yeah, I'll give you a twofold answer for that. Social media, it's wild that TikTok and Snapchat and how big it's got, and
Mhm.
the challenges that kids have now balancing getting bullied online or posting something when they're young and not realizing that it might not be the right thing to post. Like,
Yeah.
social media, if you post it, it's there forever. That's one. But two, if someone is talking some trash about you online because you missed a layup in a basketball game, or they're just some high school bullying. Social media is, those people aren't real. They don't know you. They're not your
Mhm.
family. They're not the people that love you. Like, who cares what people think of you? Just be yourself. That's something that I've had to get used to. As you know, in this business, you get critiqued for the way you look, the way you talk, the way you tell a story, your opinions on things. For me as a sports supporter, oh, this team's gonna lose today. Oh, they won. Brandon was wrong.
Yeah.
So learning different things like that, but just knowing that there are positive lights to it too. That's what's been really cool about the podcast, is that I get to hear stories of people that how the show has helped them, or maybe Terry Crews brought this up in our episode, that it's when he started talking about his problems and his suicidal thoughts and his addiction,
Mhm.
he realized that there were so many other people out there just like him, and it made him feel comfortable being vulnerable. And so that's what I love about social media. The good part about social media is that we can connect in positive ways and help each other through some of our toughest moments. On the flip side, there are some tough things that kids have to think about. And so I just try to say, I try to give both sides of the story with social media.
Yeah. And then lastly, can we just talk about the process that it takes to come out of such a dark place? I think sometimes people, hear stories like this and they're like, oh, like Brandon, of course he did it. No, it's so easy for him. But let's talk about how it really is a process, and you're not going to just come out of depression or come from these suicidal thoughts just overnight. Like, it really takes time.
Yeah, no, it did not happen overnight. It took a long process. I didn't ask for help from 14 to 26 years old. Started
Wow.
going to therapy in 2020, just like a lot of people that needed help, felt alone during that time.
Mhm.
And, I still was struggling, even going through therapy and trying to figure things out. Um, and so for me, it was a learning process trying to figure out how to take care of myself, and eventually it got to a point where I didn't know how. And so I struggled being suicidal for 3 months, and finally asked my mom at 28 years old one night, or told her, hey, like, I don't want to live anymore. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do it. I need help. I need to check in somewhere. And so once I checked into the hospital and started going to therapy more and realizing that I can, love myself, and that I'm not alone, and that I am, that it is worth it to be here. It was a gradual process, but it didn't just go away instantly. But what I will say is there's two things that I tell people with mental health, and I'm not a doctor, or I'm not a therapist, but it's what has helped me get through my toughest moments. Number one, do something. If you are feeling anxious, you're sad, you're depressed, you're suicidal, call your mom, call your dad, talk to your brother, cousin, talk to a classmate, teammate, coach. Go to therapy if you have to. Like me, check in if it's that serious, like I was. You're not alone. We can't do it alone. You have to ask for help. And number two is feelings are temporary. I
Yeah.
I would have never believed that statement when I was going through it, when I
Uh-huh.
was suicidal and didn't want to be here. But like, I'm living proof that you can get through those moments. And so those feelings are temporary, but you have to put in the work. You have to ask for help yourself. But really, it takes the person in the mirror deciding they want to get help to be able to make that change. And then you can lean on the family, friends, resources, therapy to help you get through those moments. But I promise there is light at the end of the tunnel. I don't even recognize myself from a year and a half ago when I was in that spot.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you are still here, and I think that's a big key part of what you're saying, that it is temporary, and that you cannot make these permanent decisions based on a temporary feeling. Even though you're in the moment, you're like, oh my gosh, it's not going to get any better. I think you
Yep.
are certainly living proof of that. So, people who want to come to see you, you will be here Tuesday, January 30th at
Uh
6
huh.
p.m. at We Are Washington. That's 1900 Marietta Street. So, is that free to the public? Is it a cost? What is that?
It's all free. We're partnering with We Are Washington. We want anyone to come out and just have an open discussion about mental health. I'll tell my story, show clips from the podcast with some of our guests, like NFL running back Ricky Williams, Terry Crews,
Mhm.
rapper Kevin Gates, different people that we've had on the show that have opened up and told their story because they realize that being vulnerable can help some of their fans. And that's the whole reason why I started the show, is to connect some of your favorite athletes and celebrities with your story, so that you do know you're not alone. And I would love to see everyone out there. I'm going to stay as long as I can afterwards, as I do at every tour stop, and talk with people, take pictures, say hi. or maybe you want to connect and tell me your story and we can, try to help each other get through moments. That is what I've loved the most, more than any celebrity interview, or if I'm in front of 4,000 people giving a speech. For me, is those one-on-one conversations and people tell me something like, I've never said this out loud before, or I've never told anybody else this.
Mhm.
That is when I feel like I'm doing my real purpose. And I love my job as a sports supporter, but being able to help people and connect them with a therapist or other ways to help them through their toughest moments with their mental health, it feels like my true calling. And I'm really, really excited to come to Texarkana. The social media stuff for it has been really, really cool. It's all over. So I'm really expecting a really, really cool event that night.
Well, Brandon, thank you so much for joining me today. Again, if you want to see Brandon Saho, he will be here in Texarkana, 1900 Marietta Street. He's partnering with We Are Washington at 6 p.m. and it is 1000% free. Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you so much. Sorry I'm doing it from the car, but this is life on the road, baby.